Hello everyone, good evening. Today is December 27th, last week of trading. Welcome to another episode of Ripster Daily Trade Recaps and Teachings. Did a late video today, but we'll cover how the day went. So guys, the market had a range bound day. We will discuss that. But today mainly our main trade was Tesla. Tesla nice win, and then our focus was on Apple short and reversal, and then all the crypto names. You watched my yesterday's video. I discussed the crypto names. I will discuss it again. Then we'll talk about a penny stock low floor that went 1000% after hours. So anyways, before I start, just a quick overview. What I do in this video is I just recap my day trades, my swings, updates from Twitter, from my community, all that. I recap everything, and any teachings that come from our trades I share with you guys. So what I do is every day I am up 1 hour before the market opens. I'm reviewing all the news pre-market, all the news sources. I have a bunch of news sources in our community. We have pre-market scanners, pre-market news bots. We look at everything. We create our watch list for the day, and then we make a plan for the day, for the trading for those stocks. And we follow strict setups. We follow repeatable setups. We do not do any gut feeling trades. Our system tells us how to trade, and that's how we trade. So anyways, so this morning I created a watch list. As you see, these are all the news sources that we look at: pre-market news 1, pre-market news 2, pre-market news 3. I encourage my community members to look at these news themselves as well while I make my watch list, so they understand what is in the play today. So as you see, Tesla was a main focus. I posted the Tesla upgrades right at the open. I posted this news: Tesla, Intel, Apple, CHRS, Coinbase, and BTBT. And I did post another price rates on Tesla. Then I post, this was my watch list this morning. We will talk about it. So I divide it in news plays, market indicators, and market plays. And then always we have a Bitcoin playlist that we play every day. Bitcoin is hot, as you guys know, so I will cover it again today a little bit. Then I make a plan. Intel was my overnight position that went profitable today, and then I create levels for everybody. So here are the levels, guys. Again, you can do what, make a screenshot and see how those levels panned out today. If you see, Apple was a great example. The resistance pivot never was reclaimed. It was a short today for Apple. Another example, when I go in detail, was Google today, which was weak, and and then SPY and QQQ stayed between those range. So pause it and take a screenshot, and you review how the levels panned out on these in these plays. So today, guys, there was not too many news plays. Our main focus was Tesla out of the gate. A CYTK was a bullish bias. It was a biotech that we'll talk about. Then few other smaller names were on our watch list, and then our focus was on the marketplace. So that was the plan today pre-market. So this is out of the way. Let's start with our first trade. So I just want to quickly talk about SPY QQQ today. So SPY QQQ today, guys, was a range bound. It was a range bound. There was no clear trade today. If you tried to trade, you would have got chopped out, right? I personally tried a couple of trades. I was chopped out in one, made a little scalp, other. But what I want to show you guys, that how do you know it's a chop? Because it never gets over the pre-market highs, never gets over the yesterday's highs, never breaks the low of the day or 1 hour day, and you can clearly see there's a buyer, and there was a 475 level, and we discuss all that in our SPX SPY channel, where all the SPY and SPX traders are. So you can clearly see we never broke those levels, and we were in the range all day. Same for QQQ. You see it dips to this yesterday's 1 hour levels. It broke the pre-market low, but then it found another level here, and you see 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candle. It's just consolidation, right? So if you're trying to trade long there, it's not moving, and if you are in options, you're burning your theta, right? And even if when it moved, let's say this move came, which came out of nowhere, it never got over the high of the day, never got over the yesterday's highs. Usually if by 10 a.m. I see a move, then it tells me that, you know, there's not going to be a chop. By 10 a.m. I should see the stock getting out of the range. But what it gives us today for tomorrow is this: we have our clean level, that it's consolidation. We were only 40% ATR. You can see only 40% ATR. Very small range bound day. So tomorrow, if we are over these levels, guys, these like 411s here and then 3476s here, then we can push higher, right? So these today's levels clearly give us a trading bias for tomorrow. Right now the market closed bullish after hours, but that was there, guys. SPY, there was nothing much really, and it was bouncing up and down with Apple and all those. So we'll discuss all those trades, but this was our all day guidance on SPY QQQ. Not every day is a trend day. There are going to be a sideways choppy days when you need to avoid trading these SPY and QQQ or SPX. So let's look at our Tesla trade this morning, guys. So Tesla, my pre-market plan, you can really see I was bullish neutral versus 257 cloud area. So clearly I had defined my risk level on 257, and initially it pulled down. That time I did not enter. When it pulled right back up, that's when I entered and I did a starter size, and then it breaks out of pre-market highs, as you know every day who watch my video, and I added more. And Win was also on top of it. He was also long. So two of us senior traders in the community were long on that. And then it was all. Then I was on the voice and I told everybody I'm going in full size. So that's what I said, everybody, I'm going in full size. And then my first target was 260, and then my next target was 263, as you see there. And my plan was I was going to hold as long 512 EMS hold. You can see here I was in 260 calls. That's what I told everybody if they want to try that. And I also had shares, and my 260 calls almost went 100% there. So it was a nice morning. I had couple thousand shares, so can't complain. So morning was good there. So if you want to see here, let's look at Tesla again. The thing is, right, if you are trying to buy Tesla somewhere here, then you are losing because it's pulling back. But if you were in the morning trade, see, it's a morning trade, it's an amateur trade that turned into a trend trade for a while. But when you see the sellers, clearly it's not able to cross this level. So I've been talking about this level. Then clearly, right, if you are adding here, then it's a loser for you. For us, it's not a loser because we are long from here. And there's a reason most of the money is made in first 1 hour because of these big moves. And unless it's an all-day trend, unless it broke out of this opening range, there was no long there. And when it broke down this 512, I got out completely, but then it reclaimed the trend. So I was just guiding everybody. When it reclaimed the trend, I told them it reclaimed the trend, we can scalp again, but it held the trend, but it could not break that level again. And then it finally broke down of 512, and that was it just to get out. So that was the day trade, guys. So that was the day trade. Tesla is also one of our tenant long-term swing investment that I had posted. It's also a swing play as well. You can maintain two different accounts, one for swings, one for day trades, so you don't mix things. But you can clearly see I had given this level 227, 230s for Tesla hold, and then this breakout. So Tesla is clearly panning out of this, and I posted it beforehand. You can go and see on Twitter, I've been talking about this pattern before and just like after, and we are almost up $30 from that level, or almost $20 from 240 level, and we are bullish, and it's kind of panning out. So I think Tesla is still a good swing. It's working. I expect a next target around 268 level and 275 80s. So we'll see how it pans out. So far everything is looking good. Your stops on your swings should be, it's a weekly chart, it should be under 245s or 250s or a tighter stop, but I want to give it more room because I have a good entry. The stop side will be break even on the swing. So that was a swing update on Tesla, guys. Flawless, best trade of the day. You know, I didn't even need to trade anything else after the green trade on Tesla. And of course, this was a swing update for those who are swinging it. Maybe tomorrow we long it again in a day trade account once it breaks this level where we can, you know, yes, today's high basically. Now I'm gonna cover a CYTK. CYTK, it was gapping up over 20 bucks, 30 bucks. So this is not for everyone. This trade is only for advanced traders. That's what I said. I had a bullish bias, but it's extended from the cloud, so it has more risk. So you have to wait for the dips, and then and that's what I said. You can scalp long, and in this case, your risk should be very. You know, you can use the 512 EMA Cloud as your risk, and remember, the stops on this cannot be $1, $2. The stops on these things are like $5, $3. You size very small. You don't size your full size. This is a stock where you size 1/3 of your size, 1/4 of your size. So when I saw this, you know, I saw at 10 what was it? It was 10:17 a.m. when I saw this held, and that's I said it held it, and it's in a bullish trend. You can trade, and there was a lot of guidance on our trading floor from William and other traders on CYTK all day guidance. You can see Daniel was on top of it, and CYTK, and you could risk this initial low of the day becomes your risk, the opening range low of the day. So this is what I call the opening range low of the day. That becomes your risk to long. And when I did this comment, and then it started to push, right? Initial push to 79, you know, from 75, but there's a breakout at 80, you know, and then it broke out of 80. And I did keep posting about the new price targets all day. I tweeted about the 100 target, the bullish targets. So there were all price targets that were coming out, and that's how it was bullish. And it ended up going as far as 84. So it was almost $8-9 trade for the day, only for advanced traders. If you risk 3-4 shares, and then you made 7-8 risk 3-4 points, and you made 7-8 points, that's good enough. So very well done by community on CYTK all day guidance. So that's how we do it, guys. We do not focus on just giving blind alerts. We focus on a trade. We focus on a complete setup and all day guidance. So CYTK, very proud of how the community traded it, and I think some of us are still swinging it. It is very bullish. Tomorrow, if it breaks 85, it can push more. So yeah, day 2 tomorrow. All right, let's look at Apple, guys. So Apple, clearly yesterday I gave this setup. On my Twitter. I tweeted about this Apple 1 hour setup right here, right? So Apple, I gave the setup beforehand. I can show you if you guys want to really see it. And what was the setup? The setup was the breakdown of that 190 area. So that was the setup, guys. So let's look here. So okay, so this was the setup that I gave yesterday, that if it breaks under that level, then it's a short, right? We can use that to long if it holds it, otherwise just short it. And broke, you see yesterday daily was on 20 EMA, and this was a nice bearish setup. They're trying to hold it under 3 trillion. And then the last thing, and now let's see what happened, right? So I have the complete before and after, and now you can see how it starts to break down. And I said there is no long there, and it starts to break down. I did say my target is 191. You can see here my timestamped comments. Target is 191, and we did meet 191. But right away, then the bullish news came, and it bounced off 191 target as news. And the news came. Our news board was on top of it. If you want to see here, let me show you. So let's see. You know, you can see. Let's see. Yeah, Apple Batch Watch ban posed by US government. That's our news bot, and it was also on the news. And that's that time we got out of the long. And then I personally scalped long as well, because I tweeted that news, and I went told about the news to my community. And look at this trade. EMA Cloud turns bullish, and just green. Look at those calls. They almost went more than 50-60%. That was a beautiful reversal on Apple, guys. You know, so So we never get biased. So I'm not shorting it after the news. I know it's turning bullish because my system is telling me it's turning bullish. It's getting over the EMA clouds. There's a double bottom. So you know all these things. That's how you can trade with high efficiency. If you're just shorting it here and shorting it more, thinking, oh no, it should dump, then you're doing it all wrong, right? So use the news, but have a system that lets you use that news just how I do it in the community, or how I have been teaching for you guys for years on my website. By the way, go on the Ripster education, guys. If you need a lot of education, free education is right there. Of course, if you want to trade with us, just come join the community. So let's look at next, few of my ideas. Google was heavy. Some of things, guys, I can't show here because I'm on voice, but Google was heavy. What was my pivot on Google? Let's look at the pivots on Google, okay? So let's look at the pivots on Google. Google support pivot was 141.40, 141.20. What happened here? 141.40 broke down, 141.20 broke down. What do I say? If support breaks under EMA Cloud, short idea. If supports hold, it's a long idea, so it's a short idea. And then Google keeps fading. It was 141.40 to almost 139, 140 level. That was good enough trade, guys. If you look at the option, that was a 50% trade on the options. So clearly you have to focus on the levels and the fade all day. Never reclaim bullish pivot there. All right, guys. So now let's look at Microsoft. So Microsoft was heavy as well with Apple. So in the morning I identified what is strong, what is weak, and that's what I tell my traders, my community, that this is what you can long, this is what you can short. Similarly, I said Microsoft was heavy. If you want to go back, look at the levels. Let's see the levels. So the levels I have is let's look at the levels. Microsoft 373.50. So 373.50. So 373.50 was level right here. Of course, there's another bearishness right here, and then there was let's look at it, 375 level. So what was my pivot? My pivot was, let's look at it, Microsoft 375. What do you see? What do you see on the high of the day? 375, guys. So both my pivots worked. Bearish, reject, short. So that's how the levels work, guys. To the point, levels work to the point, So that's very important. So guys, now let's talk about some losing ideas. I mean, depends on where you entered, but definitely they gave up after the initial move. Meta moved big. If you were using the opening trade to trade the pivot breakout, it worked for you for a few points. But after that, Meta was flagging. So Meta was flagging and Amazon was also flagging. So both of them were flagging, and so the flagging means that when it breaks out, then you can trade it for the trend. And that's the idea I shared in the community, just to take a starter position. But that flag failed. So when the flag failed, your stop is very tight. So if you have a small position before the flag, breaks down the flag, you get right away. When this candle happens or breaks, or worst case, you get out right at 512 AMS. Because you see lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and at this moment, if this candle cannot make a higher high, then means there's no flag and it's a fail and you have to stop out. And Meta did same thing. So Meta did same thing. If we see here, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and fail. So you just have to stop out there, take a loss and move on. You don't want to hold, because these things, if fail, it can easily come back to 355. That's fine. Luckily, if you traded at the open, you were still profitable, right? If you traded the pivot, but it didn't have enough volume to make the big push, low volume day to day. As you see, the market was bearish and then it pulled back. And I did, they had initial relative strength, but then it gave back. So yeah, so that happens, guys. Luckily, there was not much size, small loss, but that's fine. So these two were loser ideas today, guys. So let's look at MSTR. So it's part of our crypto, right? So it's a part of our crypto. If you see, right, even right now, BTC, let's see how's it doing. BTC, USD, BTC, USD, if it breaks out, Mr. is gonna go crazy because they own a lot of Bitcoin. But what was the trade? So where did the trade come from on Mr.? So Mr. was this call flow. We have all our flow scanners. Vinod called it. Vinod is actively looking at the flows. Very proud of him. Thanks to him, he found this flow, $700 million. The stock is trading at 660s and 650s, and this was even after. I think there was more flow even before that. So there was more flow even before that. If I show you, so there was so that was the flow, and this was the flow. You could see, and this was the flow. It was coming in more. The stock was trading in 650s, 640s, and they were flow coming for 700 calls. So that's when I talked about in the trading floor that we can take it. I did share this flow on Twitter as well, for my followers. But if you see, so Mr. and we talked about taking the lottos. It's a lotto. If you take that risk is 100%. So a lot of people did good on Mr. So let's see. Yeah, so you could see my options were 50%. They went to 100% as well. You see Mr. 700 calls, and so that's what we decided, right? If it really goes to 700 calls will be 1000%. That's why it's 100% risk. They're trying to flag break, and Mr. Lotto scalping. So the point is, guys, the point is in the community. Look here, Ganesh ji got 100% on Mr. The point is trying to find these setups, these plays. We know crypto is strong, right? So we know Bitcoin is strong. So we know there's a flow coming in. So we can risk it. If I'm risking $5, right? Let's say I may buy one lotto. Yeah, I guess small accounts cannot. But if I buy one or two lottos, $1,000, they already are turned into $2,000, right? And if Mr. goes to $700, they will turn into $5,000. So the point is, I'm risking $1,000. When it goes 2,000, I lock half. I take my half of my position out. I leave rest of my position there and let it go. And look at what Mr. is doing. We started at 640, 650s, and it hit 670s. Gave us like 20 points and 100% on lotto trades, right? So that's how you find these setups and trades, and each trade is a different, each setup is a different, risk is different on each setup. I've been talking about lottos all day, and you can see the flag breakout, right? So my flag breakout price alerts goes in at 139, and even after that it goes 10 more points. So very proud of this trade, guys. MSTR. So I'm going to quickly talk about coin and all other plays. I've been talking about it all day. Coin, as you know, guys, I already had the Bitcoin on the watch list. I had BTBT, other names on the watch list as well. And let's see Bitcoin plays. So BTBT, look at BTBT, it's $5. Strong names that you can trade on the pullbacks. I talked about them. And look at where BTBT is now trading at $5, right? It started from 465. And look at the coin. I talked about that coin is a big breakout. The point is you be on top of these plays, right? And I have been talking about that. I said Bitcoin breaks the 45. So let me show you the Bitcoin flag, right? You want to see the flag. So if Bitcoin breaks this flag, everything is going to go crazy, guys. That's why I told people to focus on these crypto plays. Coin was a big breakout I mentioned in the morning, right? And end of the day, I gave the setup on coin on trading floor, which was this setup. Let me show you here. So that was a late day setup, even if you were not in it for a swing or trade. So you can see here, this is the setup I gave initially, right? You can see that. And then there was a price alert. I was talking, it's breaking out, neck breakout. There was a $2 push on this. I talked about the breakout in the morning and then in the end. And I did talk about the swing on coin. 188 is my next level, and it probably hits 200 if it breaks out of the 188 level. This level is big, and then there's 200. There's no stopping it. So we'll see, guys. Keep eyes on coin. You watch my recaps. I give so many ideas on my recaps, right? And already those plays we talked about this morning, BTBT, WULF, look where they ended. BTBT, WULF, BKKT. I like this one, which is down today. It's a good dip. CIFIR, it was a good dip, got bought versus 5 psychological level. So yes, keep making as long as the trend holds. So I'm going to quickly talk about this after our trade on CING. So let's talk about CING. Okay, so CING is a low float. It had a news. I will cover more this in detail in my low float webinars, because I love to play some of these setups. You say CING had a news, had a momentum all day. All day it never broke the trend, held the 3450, and then after hour it kind of squeezed. Guess what? The shorts wanted to short it because it came from $2 to $4, $5. So they've been adding the short, and they think it's failed. But when it bounces, it fails this 5 level, they add more short, thinking that it's not going to go that much. It's already up from $1 to $5. It's all human psychology. But then it squeezes. So when it squeezes over this, all the shorts which have been holding from all day, or those who had stops at 5, they start to cover. And guess what? The breakout traders start coming in on 5. And then on 5, it keeps squeezing because the shorts panicking, because more it goes higher, more some amateur shorts add, thinking how high it can go. But every push they have to cover. Every dip they cover, and then buyers come in, they push more. And of course, there's a supply demand. I can't cover full in detail, but just talking at a high level. And then when we see this big push, and then it's all about 10 psychological level. I was talking here about 10 psychological level. Let me just show you this. Yeah, let's just look at here. So we were talking about this 10 psychological level. It was Williams' guidance all day though. William was guiding all day on CING from 7. Great value in our community. He's been guiding from 5 breakout, 7, 8, 9. So that was all William. You can see there. Let me just show you what I wanted to show my comments. Because I came late. I was after 10. But even after 10, I knew what it's going to do. I literally said it can go to 20, right? You can pause the screen and read my comments there, because it's a dangerous for the shorts, and it's all about 10 psychological level. So it pushes here, it falls back. Then some people take profit, and then the shorts, they think it's done, and they start to cover. So this dip, some think it's done and some think we need to get out. So when it dips, those shorts buy it, because every dip is an opportunity to cover, and when they buy it, it bounces more. And of course then there are some shorts which are adding, thinking it can't go higher. Now when it pushes again, then what happens is, any new short, he panics. The old shorts, they panic. Buyers, they come, 10 psychological buyers, like Rajesh bought it in 10, and I was scalping. I actually tried to fill at 15. I did not fill because I know it's going to 20. And I love to trade these, and you don't size crazy in them. You just need, if you're a small account, few hundred shares, you risk, if you're buying anywhere you're buying here, your risk is 10. If you buy at 12, you risk $2, 200 shares, but you can literally make, risking 200, you can literally make $1,000 there. So that's why I love these setups, right? I used to be a short on these setups long time back. I learned my lessons, so I know the psychology between these moves, because an amateur trader thinks, oh, it's too high. And now when every short is out of it, from here, that's when it finally falls. Every short is done. Every short is already blown out. And then the sellers take profit. And you see, it never broke the 512 EMA clouds, guys. Ripster EMA Cloud System. And then it finally giving up. As long as it's over 512 and 3450, it's bullish, guys. If you want to save your life, if you are a low float trader, if you want to save your career and you short low floats like I used to, I still do, but I only when there's a weakness. Never short it over 3450. I'm going to do a detailed webinar for my community. You can come there, join there, my repeatable setups on these low flows. Anyways guys, little late today, sorry for late video. Hopefully everybody had a good day and learned a lot from today's video. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Our Christmas promo is extended till end of the year. Make sure you join if you want to work with a good family oriented like family like community, not a buy sell alert who are trying to rip you off. We are just a community. Come join us, trade with us. See you there. Take care. Bye.